Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family, and welcome to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, I'm going to share a little secret with you about me. I'm not really a prepper. What do I mean by that? And is it too late for any of you to start preparing for the winter months and whatever may lie ahead? Stay tuned. I'd like to share my thoughts with you. So in today's video, I am not going to be talking about COVID. I'm not going to talk about the pandemic. I'm not going to talk about the president. And I'm not going to talk about the zombie apocalypse. But as we all know, our world is ever changing. And I watch a variety of channels on YouTube. And just because I don't have the same opinion as that particular channel does not mean I don't find value in how they are preparing and their thoughts and views on why they need to be prepared. So I went to the dictionary because I thought, I'm not really a prepper. After I looked up this definition, a prepper is a person who believes a catastrophic disaster or emergency is likely to occur in the future and makes active preparations for it, typically by stocking food, ammunition, and other supplies. So, whether you do believe something catastrophic is going to happen or you do not believe something catastrophic is going to happen, it is important, in my opinion, to be mindful of preparation. So here's the difference in my world. Preparation is the action or process of making ready or being made ready for use or consideration. So what it isn't, it's not panic. It's not fear. It is not disaster. It's not about hoarding. Really, it's about being mindful on a daily basis, not a one-off, of what your needs might be in the future based on what is going on around you in the world. So there are all sorts of things that can happen. I mean, I think we did see a lot of supply chain interruptions during the outbreak, let me just say it that way, and those have not ended. Go try to buy straight up just a box of regular mouth jar lids. You almost can't do it. You can buy a flat of jars, you can buy a box of lids and rings, but it's very difficult just to find ball canning lids. That is still a supply chain issue. We may have interruptions in the supply chain. You've all heard about unemployment and the difficulty hiring enough folks to staff like grocery stores or truck drivers even. They're actively pursuing people who want to be a truck driver so that they can get that supply chain restored as we were accustomed to before. You might have a health crisis. Now, I don't wish that on you, myself, or anyone else, but I'm not getting any younger, and I've had my share. You all that have been with me from the beginning know, I mean, one day you wake up and you have kidney stones for the first time in your life, or you have a simple dental procedure that turns into a huge abscess. I mean, things do happen. Are you ready? Have you made preparations in case you need some backup supplies? And we're going to talk about what those are in a few moments. I think one of the biggest reasons I'm trying to focus on preparation is rising prices. Now, I am going to insert a little slide right here. And I want to tell you before I do this, I don't know if it's correct or not. And it is actually anti-president. It does not represent my views. It's strictly what certain people are claiming inflation rates are. So I'm going to add that right here. So I think we've all seen and felt the pinch at the gas pump. It's been a lot of years since we've seen gas prices at this level, and they're not showing a lot of signs of going down. So that's one factor. Just general purchases. I was amazed. I had to run to Walmart Friday, and I just needed a couple things. And I've shared with you all before, I'm allergic to soybeans, so there are certain products I know that I can safely eat, and this happens to be a tub of olive oil margarine, and I have bought the same brand for years, and it went up over $1. $1. And y'all know Walmart doesn't really have sales, you know, like weekly sales. That was a huge increase. And I can't remember the other item that I needed to buy, but I was shocked that things are not just going up 5% or 10%. Many things. Oh, it was eggs. Always I can buy eggs for 80 cents a dozen. $1.58. Almost double, guys, almost 100% increase. So I think it's really wise for us to look at our storehouse, if you will, our preparation, because of what's going on in the world around us. Not because I'm forecasting this imminent disaster. It's just looking at what's going on. It makes sense for me to buy now while the prices are not continuing to increase. We've also seen crop failures. You know, this has been a weird summer in Ohio. It's been one of the hottest and driest summers that we've had here in a very long time. We just got through a heat wave where our heat index was between 100 and 110 degrees for days. And I can tell you, my garden suffered. We also had, in my particular town, a pretty bad straight line windstorm that took out a lot of corn. Primarily corn and soybeans is what is being grown right now in my area, and I am in a high farming area. And I just feel bad for my friends that farm acreage that lost a lot of their corn crop. So we never know, just as we had the rice shortage, which seems to be okay now, we never know what is going to happen. So it's better to have that reserve or storehouse available to you in lean times. There could be fires or droughts. We've all seen it on the news. Out west, they're having terrible wildfire problems. We're not in Ohio particularly in a drought situation. I just know that I have emptied my 50-gallon rain barrel over and over and over again, and it's empty right now with no rain in sight. So I'm having to rely on public utility water, which is quite pricey. So knowing that those things can and do occur, it's important that we be prepared. Now, this kind of goes over a little bit into the fear planning, but we've had a huge influx, as you all know, in the US of ransom, where it seems to be another country, I'm not going to name it, is hacking into systems, disabling systems. It's not just been in the US, it's been pretty much worldwide. So what happens if we do have a utility ransom? Now, I'm not predicting that or forecasting that, but I did think, what would I do when the heat index was 110 degrees and this girl still has hot flashes? That would have been quite uncomfortable with no electricity to keep the house cool enough to sleep, to eat, to, just exist at over 100 degrees. So that is another possibility. Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox of all the reasons. And you're probably saying, wait, you said you weren't a prepper. So I consider myself prepared, not a prepper. And do I have the perfect prep? And yes, I'm using some talking notes today, guys. I do not. I'm getting better. And what I would like to do in this series is I'm going to tell you some topics that I would like to have videos about, but I would just like to talk about some basic things that you might want to have in your preparation in case we do have anything that happens that makes it difficult for you to access food, water, utilities, etc. So I'm going to start with one I am not good on, and that is water. So, as you know, water is very vital to life. If you have no water in 3 to 4 days, you cannot continue to survive. So the general recommendation is a gallon per person per day plus whatever you need for your pets. And generally pets can get by on like rainwater, things like that. So I have a 50-gallon rain barrel, but it's coming off of the roof. So because there's bird waste in it, it's not pure to drink. It's fine for bathing, but it would not be good for drinking. So perhaps a life straw is a good thing for me. I do have access to a naturally occurring creek that's pretty robust behind my home. There is also water if things got really, really bad in town. There is a lot of water in my town. So while I'm not as prepared as I would like to be, water is something that we do need to think about in ways if you can collect rainwater to purify it, like a life straw or the purification tablets or a Berkey filter if you're thus inclined. I personally do not have one. And also I will tell you all, Berkey filters have gone up so much in price, not the unit, the filter replacements. So shop around. Food. I mean, that's obvious. I don't miss too many meals, which is kind of obvious as well, but shelf-stable food and shelf-stable food in many forms. So I am going to do a pretty elaborate video, maybe even two on, you know, maybe you don't grow your food. Maybe you don't have interest in canning, or you can't can, or you can't dehydrate, or you don't have a deep freeze. How can you prepare, and what should you be storing for later use down the road should we need it? Another important thing for me, and probably for many of you, is seeds. What do you need to grow and have on hand? So as you're harvesting this fall, I'm already saving seeds for next year. So I can start those. I will not have to worry about purchasing seeds. We were forecast this year to have a huge seeds shortage, which did not materialize, but I had seeds on hand, so it was very easy for me to grow a lot of things from seeds that I had harvested from my last year's growth. You can also buy pinto beans, and you know, beans are a great thing to have if your family will eat them, you and your family. Pinto beans can be replanted into plants to grow more pinto beans, so don't forget about that. The big one for me is an alternative to electricity. Guys, I don't have a good answer to that. I would love to have a whole house generator. It may become necessary. We have a lot of power outages where I live, which are extremely frustrating, but they're usually resolved within a day. But what if it wasn't? What if we did need to have, and we have had outages that went like 8 to 10 days when hurricanes have come up from the Gulf. Yes, Ohio can be affected by hurricanes, and knocked out our power. I think the last one was 8 days. So anything that's in my freezer, gone. You know, so I need alternatives to just frozen food, or a way to power certain things to keep things cold. So I'm going to be working on that and try to share some information as I learn myself. I'm by no means an expert. You may want to have some hand tools. So maybe not power tools, but some alternatives if you need to, for a couple days, maybe chop up some wood to have a fire. If you need to do a campfire, you know, if you have only a chainsaw that's electric and not gas, or fuel's not available, maybe having some simple hand tools is a good idea as well. Fuel. I wish fuel wasn't so expensive. I personally have, I think 6, maybe more, oil lamps because of my frequent power outages. They work fine for me. I also have some solar lamps. I do not have a way other than fire to cook my food, so, and a grill, but that means propane. But now they have camp stoves that will run on propane or butane. So having those two options might be a good thing. It's in my Amazon cart, saved for later. Haven't purchased it yet. Medications. Whether you have prescription medications, herbal medications, making sure that you have at least some basic things, like something for a headache, a stomach ache, I hate to say it, diarrhea, nausea, dehydration, like the powdered Pedialyte. Having a good store of medications or first aid supplies is always a good idea. And I do want to do a video just on that. Disinfectants, and this doesn't have to be fancy, guys. Bleach, vinegar, things that you can clean easily with to get rid of any germs that might happen if you don't have a lot of hot running water available to you. Batteries. I'm always out of batteries, guys. But I will tell you, on Amazon, you can order big multi-packs, and I'm sorry I keep making that thing wiggle. And then, of course, clothing, bedding, warm coats, socks, hats, gloves, boots, those type things. And I think we're all pretty well stocked on that. I'd have no need for clothes. And if you've all noticed, I've done really well. I have not been buying clothes. And then I think the final thing to think about is cash. Now, how many of you have had the experience where you go, and this has happened to me in several places, where there's a sign that says, card only, no cash accepted. Almost all physician offices where I am will no longer take cash. It's card only. So you may be like, well, then why do you want cash? Cash is always a good bartering tool, always good to have some cash on hand. So that was kind of my priority list, and I'm interested to hear what you think. Are you a prepper or are you prepared? Are you interested in this series of how to get better prepared for the upcoming winter and maybe for some events that are going on that might affect our supply chain? I would love it if you would drop me a comment below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found value, I would love it if you would go ahead and smash that like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to be notified of all the new videos. This week, I hope to have some more fall crafts up, so I'm a little behind again. I had a lot with my mom this week, and I will also share with you all, my mom does have a pretty significant infection where, when I shared, she stubbed her toe, and they were able to remove the toenail, no problem, but yeah, so she's on some pretty heavy antibiotics, so the demands there have been pretty high on my end, but I will get caught up and try to bring you 3 videos this week. So as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all very soon. Take care.